Hey you guys! Today I am going to be sharing my birth story with you guys. I had I would say, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. Yeah, I was going to say 7-hour labor, and it was my first baby. Um, so it was not bad at all. I was totally expecting like a really long labor because because that's what you hear with first-time mom. So, anyways, let's start with getting pregnant. My husband and I tried for 2 months and got pregnant on the second month, which I know is rare, but that's just what happened for us. And I know that like the first month when we didn't get pregnant right away, I was like really discouraged and really down about it, and I thought it was going to be like super hard to get pregnant because my periods were really irregular, and so I was like really down, and my husband was like, let's just like give it a little time. It's only been 1 month. So then on the second month I was pregnant, and the reason why I thought I was because my boobs were really sore. And so I thought like my period was coming, but then like after like 3, 4, 5 days of my boobs being sore, I was like, no, something's different. And like I took a test on, I think it was like the 18th of March, and it was negative. And then I took a test like 3 days later and it was positive, which now, like knowing what I know now, that the first test I took probably had like a faint line, and I just didn't look hard enough, because like when it was positive, it was a hard positive. So, yeah. Anyways, the pregnancy was like fairly easy, no serious health issues at all. Honestly, my biggest hurdle with that pregnancy was my round ligament pain. So just like on your sides and kind of like shooting down. It was like so bad. Like I would do anything and it would like pull and hurt really bad, because your muscles have never stretched out like that before. So yeah, oh, I just remember just crying one day, like, because I was like trying to do stuff around the house and be productive, but every move that I made, it would hurt so bad. And of course my nurses or whatever just said like take a hot bath and take 2 extra strength Tylenol and whatever, but Tylenol didn't touch it, so I didn't even bother taking the Tylenol. And honestly, like my bath, our water heater was like really bad, and so I could only fill up like the bath like this much. So I'm like, and the water doesn't even touch it. Like, so like, yeah, I couldn't find relief from that. Just resting was the only relief, and I hate resting. I just like to be doing stuff and being productive. So anyways, that was honestly the worst part of the pregnancy. I'm hoping with the second baby it's not as bad, because my muscles have already stretched out that way, so I'm just hoping that it's not going to be like as extreme. So yeah, I was due on the 28th of November, and I didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And on the 25th of November was a Saturday, so my husband was home from work, and we had a great day. Like, we did so much. I, like, woke up, and I just felt so motivated that day. I just looked at my husband, and I was like, honey, I have a lot to do today. And so I, like, started going through, like, my closets, and I was, like, making, like, Goodwill bags. I just wanted to, like, purge stuff, and so then we went to Goodwill and dropped that off, and we went to our grocery store, and when we got home, we made pumpkin cookies and pumpkin bread. We made homemade chicken pot pie. Yeah, I was just busy all day, and I felt fine. And then we sat down to eat at like 6 or 6:30, and I like took a drink of water, and I like kind of choked on it a little bit and coughed. And while that happened, like I had my first like little cramp, and I just thought it was because I coughed, and so I kind of like pulled a muscle. But so I was like, oh, that was weird, like I haven't felt that before. And I didn't say anything because it was no big deal. It was like so quick. And so anyways, then like I went and I took a shower, and in the shower I had another pain, and this one lasted longer and it was stronger, and I actually had to like kind of stop and just kind of like breathe through this pain, and I was like, okay, that is something. And so then I told my husband about that one, and then by the time I got out of the shower, got dressed, and was leaving my bedroom, I had another one, and I was like right in the doorway when it happened, and I just like stopped, and I was like, like it hurt. It was something new. I just had not felt this pain before, and it really just felt like a period cramp, but like it would just like come on, and then it just like let off. And so then like I came out to the living room, and I was like, okay, I've had 3 of these pains now, and we had been learning about false labor a lot, so I knew I didn't want to get too excited. And so my husband like went into his office, and he was like, I'm just going to be in here. You do your thing, and then I'll come out and check on you and like whatever, because we just thought that they would probably let off, or I don't know. So I came out here, and I like French braided my hair, and I painted my nails, and then it got to the point where like the movie that we had on, like I just like could not even have it on anymore. It was bugging me. It was annoying me so bad. And so I turned that off, and I was like trying to kind of like walk around, and I like sat on my ball. I called my friend who I wanted to have at my labor, or, at my delivery. I called her, and I told her what was happening, and like she was with another friend of ours who has 4 kids, and she was like, sounds like you're in labor. And I'm like, no way. I just like still wasn't believing it. And so then I called my sister, who was 3 hours and 15 minutes away, who I also said she could be at my delivery if she was in town. And I told her, and she was like, well, should I come or not? And I was like, I don't know, because I don't know if this is real. Like, I don't know if I'm actually in labor or not. So I would hate for you to drive all the way here and, me not have a baby. She was like, well, if I drive all the way there, who cares? Then I'm there, and we'll just hang out for a couple days. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. So she got on the road, and the biggest thing for me during contractions, and I decided this before I was having them. So like, I decided that I need to try to relax my whole body during contractions, which obviously, I mean, yeah, you should try to do that. But the biggest thing for me was I wanted to try to relax my face. So particularly my, like, right here. I didn't want to clench like this, because as soon as you do that, like, you just feel tense. Your whole body feels tense. But if you relax that, and if you just relax your whole face, you kind of can trick your body into feeling relaxed. So my big thing was I am going to try to relax right here. And so I implemented that right away in these first contractions, just like trying to just stay really just straight faced. And if someone were to look at me, try to make it seem like I am not even having a contraction. Like, that's how relaxed I wanted to be. So I practiced it, in these first couple contractions. Also, it was like, 6:30 at night, 7, 8 o'clock. And I was just like, what should I do? Should I lay down and try to get some rest, because it's probably going to be a really long night and day? Or should I be up, because I know that helps contractions, and helps labor? So I was like really conflicted as to what to do. So I tried to be up, and I tried to sit on my ball and all this stuff, but I just hated it all. I didn't want to be up. I didn't even want to be using my leg muscles to stand up, and certainly not to sit on the ball. I don't know how anybody finds that comfortable, because you're tensing up your legs so much, like, by just trying to hold yourself on the ball. I hated it. So I found myself most comfortable laying on the couch, and the only part of my body that I would tense up was my one hand, and I would just like grab the back of the couch, but everything else on me, I just wanted to be totally relaxed. But I needed to squeeze something during my contractions, so that was helpful. Anyways, my husband came out, and it was about 9 o'clock at night, And I told him, like, I think this is it, because I've been having contractions now for, an hour and a half, and they are coming regularly. So we started timing them, and they were about 4 minutes apart, and they would last for like 30 seconds to 45 seconds, and then they started to last longer. And I found that really difficult to try to tell my husband when to start the timer and when to stop it. Like, well, it was easy to be like, okay, start it, like, because you can feel it coming on. But it was hard for me to tell him when to stop it. Like, how do you know when it's over? Is it when all the pain is gone, like you're totally better, or is it when it's like letting off? I don't know. So basically, the rule of thumb that I was going by was, if I can speak to say stop it, then it must be over. It must be good. So anyways, we timed them, and they were like 4 minutes apart, and then closer to 3 minutes apart, and they were lasting like 45 seconds to an hour. And so we called the hospital at about 11 o'clock, and they told us to come in. And so at that point, like, I had my bags packed, but I didn't really have my husband's like stuff packed, because the stuff I wanted to pack for him was like shorts and like, comfy clothes and whatever. And so, yeah, like, he wears all of his stuff, so we weren't going to pack that right away. But so anyways, like, in between contractions, like, he's getting, well, like, I'm telling him like what to get in between contractions, and he's just like, getting everything around the house. And he packed up the car and everything, and by the, once everything was packed and everything was good, he was like, okay, all that's left is you. So, like, I'm like, okay, like, after my next contraction, I'll get up and I'll go pee, and then I'll get in the car. So, like, get up, walk to the toilet, have a contraction on the toilet, which was terrible. I hated that. Like, I felt like I didn't have anything to hold onto and just, like, brace myself in the middle of the contraction. It was just terrible. Got up, came out of the bathroom, had a contraction. Got down the stairs, had a contraction. Putting on my shoes, contraction. Got in the car, contraction. Like, it seems like they were coming probably every, like, 2 minutes at this point. But my water hadn't broken yet. And honestly, I didn't even think about it in the moment, like, that my water hadn't broken. So anyways, like, we drive there, and it's about 15-minute drive. And, like, everyone says, the drive to the hospital is the worst part, and it was bad, but it really wasn't terrible. At that point, I started to make noises during my contractions, like, shh, shh. I felt like that was really helpful, to just put a lot of force just by saying shh. So that was great. I was really coping really well with that. And once we got there, like, my husband went inside, and he was like taking forever, like, talking to the person at the desk. And I'm like, what could you possibly be talking about? Like, get me inside. I'm gonna have a baby right now. And so, like, he comes out, and I, like, roll down the window, and he's like, honey, do you want to walk up there, or do you want to ride? And I was like, I need a ride, hon. So, like, they get me a wheelchair. And, like, we follow, like, the Domino's guy into the hospital, of course. And I'm just like, that smells so good. Like, I was like, honey, after we have this baby, like, can we please get pizza? And he was like, yes, we can get pizza. And I was like, oh, like, extra motivation. So they wheel me into triage. And the nurse comes in. And, well, like, they tell me immediately, change into this gown and, whatever. That was so hard. Like, just to, like, try to just, first of all, just be up, walking, like, yeah. And, like, to try to get my pants off and try to just, like, move around. Like, it was very hard. So I had my husband help me with all of that. And then the nurse came in to check me, and she was like, I just want to let you know before I check you that contractions without dilation is not labor. Like, great. Thanks. Like, that's going to be me. I am not going to be dilated at all. they're going to send me home. Like, this is all, it's just, yeah. So she's like, okay, like, get ready for, this is not going to be comfortable. So she checks me, and it wasn't bad. I was just like, who even cares? I'm about to push a baby out, like, So that didn't bug me. I mean, I just kind of clenched my fists a little bit when she was checking me. And she was like, okay, so I am going to go get another nurse to get a second look. But I will say that you are quite dilated and your waters are bulging. So I'm like, yes, like, I'm dilated. This is real. It's happening. And so she comes and gets this other nurse, and she comes in and she checks me, and they look at each other and they go, 9? Yep, 9. That's what I got too. 9? 9? 9? What? So I was 9 centimeters dilated. I couldn't believe it. And so they were like, don't worry about getting up. We are just going to wheel you right into your room. And I'm just like, yeah, you are. Let's have this baby. So they wheel me into the room, and unfortunately they do make me get up and switch over to this other bed, which was so hard to get up. And my midwife showed up not too long later, and unfortunately it was the midwife that I hadn't ever met. Well, like, she introduced herself to my centering pregnancy class, but she had never met me. But that was okay. Like, she was great, and, she knows how to do her job and whatever. Like, it's not like we were going to be BFFs or anything. So that was fine. And right away she asked me if I wanted her to break my water. And I didn't even answer her. And then she left the room and came back and said again, like, if I wanted her to break my water. And I was in between contractions at this point, so I actually answered her, and I asked her if I could still push if my water was intact. And she was like, yeah, absolutely. And she was like, and anytime you feel like pushing, go for it, because I was already 9 centimeters dilated, and she basically was just going to trust my body. So that was great. Like, I didn't have to get checked at all after the first time. And it wasn't too long later that I started to push. And I think, like, with my first or my second push, my water broke. And I didn't hear it, but, like, I guess it was just, like, a loud pop. And so that was cool. And it felt amazing. Like, such a relief. Oh, my gosh. So, yeah, that was great. So my water broke. And from then on, I was pushing. And I remember at one point, like, my husband came around to the side of the bed because I was on my side, like, holding onto the bar. And he was like, honey, don't forget to breathe. And I was like, I'm pushing. And so, yeah, like, you can't breathe while you're pushing. Like, you're pushing. So, yeah, I don't know how many, like, pushing contractions I did, but, like, my midwife checked me, just checked for the baby's head, and she said, baby's head is right there. Like, she asked me if I wanted to feel it, and I didn't care at all to feel it. I'm like, I can feel it when she's out. Like, let's get her out instead. So, she was, telling me that my pushes were effective, which was good. Like, that was just reassuring to me that I was doing it right. And, yeah, then I, like, all of a sudden got the urge to, like, get up off the bed. So at this point, I'd been, like, kind of, like, sitting up, like, maybe just at a incline like this for a lot of it. And I just, like, had my two arms, like, behind my back. So, like, my fists were kind of, like, pushing into my lower back. And so I was sitting that way. And that was really comfortable and good because I could just kind of, like, push on my own back. And then I would do a lot of hands and knees. And then at this point, I wanted to get up off the bed. And, like, mind you, I wasn't talking to anybody. So it's not like I was like, I'm going to try to get up off the bed or anything. Like, I just started getting up. And they're like, oh, I could just tell, like, everyone in the room was like, okay, what's she doing now? And so I got up. I had one foot on the floor and one foot on the bed. And with my next contraction, I pushed and she started to come out. And so I jumped back up on the bed. And I'm, like, way up on the head of the bed. And I'm on my hands and knees. And I, am trying to push her the rest of the way. And my midwife told me that once she starts to crown, she was going to kind of coach me through how to push. Like, you know, because sometimes they want you to just, not sometimes, they want you to like ease the baby's head out. Like, don't try to push it all out, but just nice and slow. And so I was anticipating her coaching. But once the baby started crowning and I jumped up onto the bed, I'm pushing the baby is coming out, and I like screamed. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Because she wasn't saying anything. She's like, you're doing great. You're doing great. So I'm like, you know, and okay, so I just kept pushing. And all of a sudden, my midwife said, like, we have to turn you over onto your back. And so they, all hands on deck. They flip me over, boom, on my back. Get me a stool. So someone brings over the midwife a stool. She's on the stool. They, like, just pick me up. Like, I'm pretty sure only my, like, shoulder blades were on the bed because I was just, like, they were up. And my midwife she stuck her hands inside of me and was corkscrewing the baby around. And my sister and my husband were just like, you know, we don't know what's going on. Like, we just thought we were going to push, and then the baby would be out. But now they're in me, like, spinning the baby. And my sister said all she could see was, like, this blue, like, squished face just, like, going around in circles. And I was just howling at this point, just screaming this scream that I couldn't even imitate if I wanted to. And I was also trying to push, too, while they were doing this, but I wasn't, like, mid-contraction, so I was trying to push without a contraction, and it just wasn't working, and I was kind of starting to freak out, but this was only, like, 1 minute that this all happened. But, you know, thoughts are going through your head, even if it's only a minute long, but, like, I was like, is the baby dead? Like, what's happening, you know? And I'm trying to push, and it's, like, not coming out, and it's kind of scary. But anyways, then, like, my next contraction came, and I pushed, and she came out. And all I could say, you know, they threw on my chest, and all I could say was, it's out, it's out, it's out, it's out, it's out, it's out. I mean, just, it's out. Like, because there was a second there where I didn't think it was going to come out. And so she was on my chest, and, you know, in that moment, like, I forgot that we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And so, like, 1 minute she's on my chest, and the next minute, like, they're taking her away. And I don't know why they weren't really saying, they didn't say, like, we're going to take the baby now. Like, it was, like, happened really fast. And so, like, taking her away, and I was like, wait, what is it? They were like, it's a girl. And I'm just like, it's a girl, what? Because everybody and their mother thought that we were having a boy. Like, you know, everyone has their myths. Like, you are sitting low, so I think it's a boy. Or, like, the heart rate is low, it's a boy. You know, everyone has their things, and Clara proved them all wrong. Love it. And also, she came out with a full head of hair. So everyone's like, oh, did you have heartburn? I'm like, no, myth. Myth, myth, myth. All myths, okay? So just stop. We proved them all wrong. So anyways, yeah, then they bring her back, like, right away, because, so she wasn't responding, she wasn't breathing right away, so that's why they had to, like, whisk her away. And, you know, we wanted delayed cord clamping, and we wanted my husband to be able to announce the gender, but in a situation like that, like, let's just get the baby breathing first, and then we can think about all that stuff. So we didn't get those two things, but that was fine, totally fine. So we got her on my chest, and I just remember, like, I was so, just, like, so elated. Like, I was like, kiss me, and, like, I told my husband and my sister to, like, kiss me. It was just, like, the biggest, you know, accomplishment ever. You're so just high at that point. Like, I just frickin' did that. I just did that. So, anyways, she was born at 2:28 in the morning, and the placenta came out about 7 minutes later. And I did get a 2nd-degree tear, so they you know, numbed it, and it was a 4-poke running stitch, and of course that's uncomfortable, but I mean, I just had a baby. Like, who even cares? Do whatever you have to do down there. Like, I'm good. And I had the baby on my chest, and we were already trying to just, like, get her to latch and stuff, like, right away. And, yeah, so, yeah. Um, like, I didn't imagine that I would be totally, like, naked during my birth, but I know I did hear often that, like, all your modesty goes out the window, like, at this point. But, once my water broke, like, they wanted to, like, change my gown and change the pad underneath me and everything, like, right away. And I'm just like, no. They're like, lift up your butt so that we can, no. I could not lift up my butt. Are you serious? So I'm like, I'm fine. Just, no, I can't. And they were like, oh, that's all right. Like, some women, like, don't mind, like, sitting in the kind of like the wet clothing or whatever. So, like, it's okay. And I was like, yeah, I don't mind right now. And it was, after a little while that here, it's actually in my notes. So my water broke at 1:35, and then I took off my gown at 1:55. So, like, I just, like, in between contractions at that point, I was just like, okay, let's go. Let's get this off me. Come on, let's switch this up. Like, I just got, like, this huge burst of energy to just do everything that they wanted to do initially. And, yeah, so we got all that off, and I didn't put on another gown. I just stayed naked, and it just was fine. Like, you don't care what anybody thinks at that point. So, yeah, so she was born, and then the placenta came just, like, 7 minutes later, and, got her to latch, in the football hold, for the first time, and, yeah. And we weren't totally sure on a name yet. Like, we had a couple girl names that we liked. Like, we really liked Amelia. And in the very beginning, we liked Gwen, short for Guinevere. But that just didn't seem right. And then, like, a couple weeks, like, at the end of the pregnancy, I liked the name Cordelia. Don't judge me. But yeah, so anyways, then I was like, honey, what about Clara? Remember Clara? And, like, because that was, like, kind of lower on our list, and we're like, Clara Marie. And just everybody in the room was just like, yes. So we're like, okay, Clara Marie. And so they, like, wrote her name up on the board, and she was 7 pounds, 11 ounces, I think, like, 21.5 inches long. And, yeah. So then I, like, got in the bath, like, an hour and a half later, and, like, my friend and my sister were still there, and I was just, like, sitting in the bath, and we were just having a ball, just talking and laughing and just, like, marveling at what just happened, and just going on, and it was funny because I was so quiet, like, the whole time. And then, like, right after she came out, I was just, like, chatty Cathy, like, blah, 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 can you believe it? Oh my gosh. Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, like, that was just really fun. And, so, yeah, then at, like, 5 o'clock in the morning, they swaddled up the baby, and then Dad held her for the first time. And then by 5:30, like, I was snuggled up in bed with my baby next to me in her little box, and I had my own pillow, my own blanket. I was, like, in my own robe, and I had, like, my essential oil lavender on my neck, and I just felt amazing, and just couldn't believe that all of that just happened. Like, we just had such an awesome day. Saturday's always such a great day, and we just didn't think it was going to end this way, and especially early. She was 2 days before her due date. Like, you always hear about first-time moms going late, their labor being super long, and here, like, it's 2:30 in the morning. What? Like, we were just having dinner, and now we have a baby. And we got discharged on her due date. Like, I don't know. We were, like, beyond blessed with an amazing experience. It's no wonder that I am ready to do it again 8 months postpartum. Like, I was ready 4 months postpartum to, like, get pregnant again and do it all again. And my birth plan is going to be the same next time. Now, I wasn't, like, above getting an epidural, but when you get there and you're already at a 9, like, I could have totally gotten an epidural. It wasn't, like, too late or anything, but at that point, it's like, you're almost there. Like, I did most of my labor at home, and it got me to a 9. Like, the worst part is over, almost, you know? Like, obviously, like, the pushing and everything was hard, and laboring at the hospital was hard, too. Like, it got hard. But, shoot, like, I was just, like, handed a really easy, like, opportunity. Like, now, if I would have got there and I was dilated 4, and, you know, labor was going on and on and on and on and on, I totally would have probably got the epidural. But I was almost there, and she came, like, right away. So, yeah, it was really good. And, like, when you have a baby naturally like that, like, you just are so just high and just, what? Like, yeah, it was great. One funny thing, when I was pushing, my midwife was like, come on, Corianne, I know it hurts, but just give it all you got. And I was like, no. She was like, no. And she said, I know it hurts, but you can do this. And I was like, no. She was like, no, don't say no. Like, you're doing this, you know? And I was like, no, it doesn't hurt. Like, what? Who says that? But really, like, it didn't hurt. It just felt, like, good to be able to be pushing and everything. And I know, like, on my notes or whatever, at, like, 2:59, so half an hour after I had her, like, I was like, my friend wrote down, seriously, you guys, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, I just think I was, like, really lucky with my experience. And that's why I was so excited to share it with you guys, because not every experience is, you know, like, super dreadful and like, really, really, really bad. Like, birth can be really, really, really great. And I was super obsessed with listening to the Birth Hour podcast, like, my whole pregnancy. So I was just, like, always listening to birth stories, and I couldn't wait to learn what my birth story was going to be, and then to share it. Like, no matter what my birth story was, like, I couldn't wait to share it. And yeah, because everyone's different, and you can plan and plan and plan, and it's probably not going to go the way you expect. We took the Bradley method course, so we were, like, always talking about birth and pregnancy and everything. And so, like, I had a birth plan, but I also had completely open hands to whatever was gonna happen. Like, so anyways, yeah, that's everything. That was fun. Thanks for listening, guys.